Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Struggle Session. I'm Leslie III.
I'm Jack Allison.
I'm Emma Bowers.
And today we have back one of our favorite people in the world. It's been too long. Of Chapo Trap House, Felix Biederman. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you guys for having me again. I think the last time we did an episode, it was like 3 years ago. It has been way too long.
Yeah, way too long. But we're going to be talking about the same thing we talked about our last couple episodes, and that is, of course, video games. We're going to get into, what we've been playing, because there ain't shit else to fucking do to play video game. Felix, did you foresee the rise of the world of the gamer coming? And it like, we knew the apocalypse was coming. We didn't know it was a viral apocalypse that has just turned everyone into a streamer or a gamer instead of a zombie, basically.
I can't say I knew exactly what was coming this year, but I thought the next few years, years prior, that there would be maybe some event that would force everyone indoors, but I always thought it would be climate related.
Right.
Not
either way, we've all been training our entire lives for this, and finally,
yes.
My skills are worth something, really. Finally, like, it feels like a whole life was spent, and it matters.
And so, Jack, I do want to ask you a game I know you've been playing recently, and we talked about it a little bit. Me and Emma talked about it on our first impressions episode, Death Stranding.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't on the episode, so how you feel about it? How are you liking it?
I finally went back and played through all of Death Stranding. I never beat it when it was on PlayStation 4, but I got it on the Steam sale this year. And, I guess, the most obvious thing to say is like Kojima never misses. Like, this man, like not only predicted 9/11, but somehow predicted COVID world. Like, and this is a game, like, when I first played it, like, I almost was kind of like, all right, Hideo, like, this is a little too weird, man. Like, this is like not really like connected to the world that I know. But now I'm playing it and I'm like, wow, this feels like it's the world I'm in, but I have a purpose. You know what I mean? It's like COVID world, but people need me to do something. You know what I mean? Which is kind of nice. I get to like help rebuild the roads and everything like that. Yeah, I mean, I fucking had a blast. Getting through the storyline, and I think the story of it is really great. But I've gotten really into just the I still play it. I've been playing the post game, and I'm just building all the roads and driving around like a fucking Uber driver. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like doing Postmates in like a broken world. There's something very relaxing about Death Stranding, and maybe even more so in the world that we're in now.
Felix, did you ever get a chance to play it?
It's on my docket. I will say what I always say when people ask me when I'm going to play it. I'll get to it when I get to it. I haven't felt the strong impulse to play it yet, and I don't want to play it until I feel the strong impulse.
Mm-hmm.
Early quarantine was great for me. Like, it was, I'm ideally positioned for a quarantine, but me and a lot of my friends got very into CSGO, and I've been playing that game about a year at this point, and I really, really like. It's annoying, like any competitive shooter, when you get online and you play with fills. But when you 5-stack with your friends, it can be so great, and there's so much to learn. I mean, the game has literally been around over 20 years, and there's just so much depth to it. Like, I've been very deep in the chasm of online sort of ranked shooters a lot, but this past month, like around actually New Year's, I like pulled my back. I have a spot on my wall that's dirty because I do handstand push-ups there, and I was Swiffering it, and
it's not the handstand push-ups that did you in. It was the Swift. It was the Swiffering.
Well, I mean, there might have been a cumulative effect because
Sure.
I've hurt my back before, but I like pulled it really bad, and I had to get like a cortisol shot and all this shit. And I guess gyms were closed anyway in New York, but yeah, and I just a lot of my CSGO friends were playing Tarkov and shit, and I was just inside all day, so I was like, fuck it, I try something totally different. Like, I haven't really played a campaign game in a while, and I got Sekiro. I made the mistake of playing it on a TV first.
Mm-hmm.
Very easy mistake to make because it's such a beautiful game.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost fucking rage quit fighting the chained ogre. That's when I brought it over to the monitor, and now I love it. I fucking love it.
You need those extra FPS.
You really do.
Yeah, I saw you tweeting about how much you were loving Sekiro, and I was like, man, I need to like get this reinstalled and play it some more. It's one of my like favorite games I've ever played. I'm a huge From Software fan, of course, but it was so different. And it was very difficult for me when I first started playing it because I'm so used to the old Dark Souls pace where you're just kind of dodge rolling around the enemy until you can hit them in the back. And Sekiro is like, no, fuck that. You have to attack, you have to advance. But I really, really loved that game and think it was absolutely amazing.
The posture system is like one of the coolest innovations I've seen in a game like that. Anyone here that played Ninja Gaiden on Xbox?
I played it and rage quit that game. I absolutely
It was a tough game. I adored that game, and they're obviously quite different in combat, but they're sort of similar in the type of game they are and, the difficulty that people ascribe to them. But I haven't felt this way about this type of game since Ninja Gaiden on Xbox. And it's like, it can be really frustrating when you start, but like, once you sort of like it clicks, it's like the only thing it's comparable to in gaming is like, for me, if you have like a ranked CSGO game, like Face It usually, and you're losing it by like 8 rounds and you come back to win. But like beating Jinichiro was like it like felt like that times 10 somehow. And it's weird. I'm a pretty competitive person, so I like love shooters like that. But it's like this is in some ways more satisfying. It's amazing.
Yeah, I played it when it first came out, and I do remember being too frustrated by it. But just hearing about it now again, like I guess that I find that there might be some appeal in getting the shit kicked out of me. Like it just feels like it might be worth reinstalling.
Yeah, it's like you get such satisfaction from this game because it feels like you're actually learning a skill. Obviously you're not. You're just learning what buttons to press at the right time.
Wait, excuse me. Gaming.
That's bad news for me because I have some life plans after I play Yakuza 0 next. I'm doing a career change.
But it does give you that sense of accomplishment and satisfaction. Like the same thing you said about Death Stranding, where you're delivering package to people, or you're, helping, to restore the rightful ruler of Imperial Japan in Sekiro. Like it just gaming gives you this sense, can give you this sense of like, all right, my efforts actually amount to something. And that's especially true with, I think, the From Software games because they're legitimately difficult and you actually have to figure out, you have to master. You can't just, plow your way through them like you can like an Assassin's Creed or whatever. And I've recently played a little bit of the modern Assassin's Creed, and the funny thing is they're trying to be a lot more like Dark Souls with the combat and make it harder. Only problem is those games are like 100,000 hours long.
Yes.
So like I don't think anybody ever finishes them. Like you play it for like 15-20 hours and then you just move on to the new ones out by the time you've got like 20 hours in. So
yeah, those are the new Maddens. The Assassin's Creeds. Yeah. I did see someone play the Viking one, the Varg one on a PS5, and I was like, this looks fucking kind of cool. And it's probably the reason I got Sekiro, because it was like after that I like tried to get a PS5 and then I realized they were completely sold out, like everywhere. And I was like, am I really going to do this just to play an Assassin's Creed game? Like, I know, I played like 10 of them. I know what they're like, even if it looks good because of the PS5. The guy who was playing it was like, yeah, if you want, my friend will deliver to you for $800. Like, I don't want to do it, not that much. But yeah, it's like, oh, I want to play some game like that. But yeah, I mean, I guess really I've been rediscovering single player games, and it's all I used to play because like, no, it used to be, when I was a kid that very few people could sustain the connection needed for an online competitive experience. And no, yeah, they're kind of the best games. As much as I love Counter-Strike and shit, they're kind of the best.
Yeah, I've always been like a single player game.
Yeah.
I every so often I'll get really into like one first person shooter. I think I can't even remember the last one I really dropped, more than 10, 15 hours on. Maybe like the Killzone that came out with like PS4.
Like Apex I put a lot of hours
Apex,
in.
I guess.
Like, there's a lot of these online games I'll play, but at a certain point I'm just like, I feel like I'm on like a rat on a wheel or something. I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? I'm not gonna like become a professional. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell am I, like, what do I do? What are we all doing here at a certain point?
The way I feel about online competitive games, I think like a 5-man is the best, something like Counter-Strike or Overwatch. I don't really like games like Overwatch or Apex, where I know they're very different games, like one's a BR, but like what I mean is games with a super high TTK. I hate that. I've never liked it.
That's time to kill for non-gamer listeners.
A great 5-man game, like Rainbow Six or something. I love it.
Great.
It's a beautiful game, probably the best gunplay in any game right now. But I like it. I think it's essential to have 5 people you 5-stack with, because I think it's solo queuing. I know a lot of people who are freaks and they're like great at every one of these games. They're like my friend Paul is like that, and my friend Davis is like they're just. I think some people just have the snap down. And they can just snap on everyone's head. Their crosshair placement's perfect. They instantly understand maps. And they can solo queue and they have a good time with it, because it's like they don't get that anxiety of like, oh, sometimes I play bad, sometimes I play good. I don't like want to get yelled at.
Right.
But for the most part, I play better when I'm with my friends, because you don't feel as self-conscious, and it's also like you have a rapport with them. Like most people you meet randomly in online games, they could be like fucked up or rude or French Canadian, so all of those things.
The worst.
A lot of those in Rainbow Six. That's the biggest problem in that game. And I think at its best, what it feels like is I am solving like a puzzle in real time with my friends. Like if you have a team that plays really well, like in Siege, if they know exactly how their operator works or exactly what choke points in the map, or exactly what wall bangs. Or in CS, if they know their smokes really well and they're great at faking you out, they have great reads on your team. Or, Valorant, same thing with that. It's like an insurmountable puzzle. It's like Sekiro, when you're like, how the fuck can I beat this boss? Or Souls, for that matter. And when you do figure this out, like, oh, this guy always like jiggle peeks here, we can fake it here, and you do a collaborative thing where you like flash your teammate or whatever the equivalent is in Rainbow Six, and you win, you like come back. It's an amazing feeling because you work together with your friends to solve this. And like there's a lot of like competitive games where it's a very solitary effort. It's like baseball kind of, where it's like the team has to win, but it's the most individualistic team sport. I like something more where it's, I guess I would compare it to like soccer, where it's like you kind of all have to work together. And there can't really be a weak link in the chain. Like, yeah, maybe some people don't have as good aim as others, but if you're all working in unison like that, you're all coordinated, it's almost indescribable how it feels.
I have a friend too, and I this is not how I feel, but I do relate to this, who feels lonely playing single player games, who like gets so much out of like the sort of social aspects of online gaming that like when he tries to play a single player campaign, he's like, I just want to fucking be talking to other people while I'm gaming. And so, I kind of agree with you that like, coming together with people and using your brains together, that like can transcend maybe higher than the single player experience can. But also I like a single player experience because it's lower stress and I don't get in trouble and stuff like that. Yeah. And I can hit Alt F4 and be done with it if I want to be done with it for the moment. When I played League for a long time, that was fun. But I would just get caught in these like hour-long games where I'm like, I hate every minute of this. We're not winning from the very beginning, and this just sucks.
I think it's interesting that you're talking about, games where you collaborate on some level, and I have the worst time with them. I can only play single player games like Animal Crossing, and that is not a competitive game. You have little friends, and you can go to
visit
someone's
each other's
island.
thing, yeah.
I hated it. I hated going to someone's island, and I didn't know like the social etiquette. I was like, am I supposed to bring something or what? And my friends were like, oh, come over to Island, I'll give you like a recipe. And I was like, what do I do? I hated it. It took like 30 minutes for little dodos to get in the airplane. And I don't know. I find it weird, but something about games, I'm really antisocial with them. And I like it that way. There was the big Among Us craze, and all my buddies were like, let's do it. I'm like, no.
Among Us can be fun, but that's like doing a phone call. That's a phone call is what that is.
No, I refuse. I refuse to like do it. I just feel awkward. I feel stressed, even if it's with friends. I just rather like sit in the dark and make roads in Death Stranding.
I do know what you mean, because like unless I feel like really on in CS, I won't solo queue, because it's like you're just gonna run into. Well, people like to say, "Oh, the player base is like everyone's awful," but it's like the problem is more than anything is that you're dealing with like 18 through 22-year-olds, 18 through 22-year-old men who like have enough resources to have a decent gaming PC, and it's like, yeah, they're gonna be fucking awful until they're like 27,
right?
And it's like when I feel like I'm playing well, it's like fine, whatever. Like they're annoying, they like speak in memes and shit that I think is lame, and they're like. Sometimes they'll get like weirdly intense or fucking whatever, but it's like if I felt like I played well and I was well coordinated with them, it's like, well, cool. That's like a cool experience that I had with a stranger who's quite different from me. But when it's bad, like this is a problem. So in CS, there's this thing called Face It, right? Because in regular matchmaking, you only play in 64-tick, but on Face It, it does something where they have their own servers so you can play in 128-tick. Way smoother, way better. You can hit a lot of things that you wouldn't hit on 64. It's a better experience. It's better in a lot of other ways. But a problem I have on Face It is I'll queue in North America, and it's like all of like 3 teammates who are like from Peru on 200 ping and like don't speak English, and it's like, all right, well this is just like because the game is like 45 minutes, and it's like, well, what the fuck? Like, I lost Elo. You can get Elo back, but it's like that was just I didn't learn anything.
With regard to like the sort of toxicity of online games, that doesn't really bother me. What bothers me is actually that I feel I deserve the toxicity. It's I'm like, these kids are right, and I deserve to be treated this way for doing bad.
Well, I'm delusional, so that helps me. So like, I had a like. I've been playing this game for about a year, right? And I obviously was very bad when I started, and then like I had a lot of friends who were deep into it, and they were very patient with me, showing me how to do shit. And I'm okay. I'd say I'm like a pretty average player. Like I'm close to like level 5 on Face It, which is fairly middle of the road to regular bad. And but just sometimes you have like a bad fucking game. You just lay an egg, and I got like for people who know about CS, I had a Face It game on Mirage where I had like 48 DAR, like just all. That means like I'm averaging under half a kill every round. For people who don't know, just dog shit, and like it wasn't totally my fault. I was playing for. The real CS nerds out there, I was playing A/Con on Mirage, and the guy Cat mid just didn't call out anything, so I was constantly just getting smoked from top mid and shit. But it was mostly me laying an egg. Like, I can admit that. And one of the guys on our team was like nearly a level 7. He was pretty good, but he was like, like a kid, like 19, 20. And he was just like tearing into me for sucking shit. He's like, try clicking your mouse. But the fact that I'm delusional helps me, because I'm like, immediately after, I'm like, no, none of that was my fault. He's actually, you're actually the one that sucks, pal. Fuck you. Like, if I was less delusional, I would probably feel the way you do. But I luckily have this bubble of undeserved confidence.
Emma, what have you been playing?
Speaking of games where you die over and over again, and I've been playing Hades. I finally got into the Hades band. Yeah. And I was really anxious because I feel like a lot of my games are usually kind of like the AAA ones, and it's like open world or like, you know, Metal Gear, like kind of basic action games. And I was like, I've never played a roguelike. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, am I going to suck? And everyone was just like, yes, but that's why the game is good. And it is insanely addictive. And it's really rewarding because, I mean, intentionally the way the game is designed is the first couple of runs, you just eat shit constantly over and over. And it's really rewarding actually to come in like the 60th time and just mop the floor with like everybody. I just think it's great, like super fun game, just really creative. And it's shocking like the level of like talent and work like they put into it. It's a small little indie team. I think they were in development like 3 years. And I like this too because there's a big controversy now where even games, and me and Leslie both really like The Last of Us too, but they had absolutely like horrific labor practices there, like just like horrible instances of crunch. And it's interesting to read about Supergiant, and a lot of it is just, we take our time. We want a vacation, take a vacation. And it's really rewarding to, I think, one, play a game that's good, but also not feel like this weird guilt, like how many men died.
That is the topic of crunch in these big, expensive games is interesting to me because I think one of the greatest modern tragedies in games is the unfinishedness of Phantom Pain. And there's other stuff besides crunch going on there, like, you know, the disputes between Konami and Kojima, but it's like, I mean, this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, when I was 13, it's like I didn't even think about it. It's like, fuck you, make your fucking game. I wish I could work at a game company. Fuck you, fucking piece of shit. Yeah, but now it's like, you know, primarily from like a labor rights standpoint, it's like, yeah, no one should have to work like fucking 60-hour weeks and like sleep in the office to finish a fucking game or anything. But also, like, you get better games without crunch. I think it's like games where people take their time are significantly better. No one works better when they're stressed out or just burning the candle at both ends.
Listen, I think a lot of that, like, you know, obviously just comes from like the culture of game design. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and like I agree with you. I don't know that you get better work out of people for those like extra 4 hours a day, or if they're just like miserably staying at the desk.
I'm sorry to cut you off there and do a brief call in on you, but you were crunching on your own game.
Well, I did it to myself, and I'll tell you what, I made a video game, and I did a week of crunch, and it's not good. It's fucked up, actually. It really is. It really is unhealthy. Like, I was like trying to get something done, and to be totally honest with you, I'll come back to it, but after doing a week of crunch, I have not touched it for 3 months.
It's like I've crunched with like projects I've made with like writing and stuff like that, and sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's exactly what you need, but I think writing work is quite different from like repetitive coding and texture work and things like that. And writing isn't a real job. I'm sorry.
But also, you know, I will say that, you know, in the time that I did writing, like, you do get diminishing returns. Like, I wrote for the fucking Emmys, and they were like, we got to crack a joke, and everybody was there at 11 p.m., and we knew we had to be back at 5 a.m., and it's like, no one's going to crack this stupid fucking joke, and, like, we could come back tomorrow and look at it, but, like, you know, I guess we all got to feel like we're working really hard and stay here for an extra half hour.
Yeah, I should rephrase that. I mean, like, writing... Most of my writing projects in the last 5 years, I've had like an incredible degree of autonomy. I'm reported to people more or less, like someone else is publishing or whatever. But I've been very lucky to have like a large degree of autonomy, and of course, it's not my primary thing. But like, when I did Fighting in the Age of Loneliness, I did a lot of crunches where it would like just 18 hours straight of writing and research. But I've also done it the other way, where it's like I'm crunching for something where I more have to answer to somebody, and it's more of a job than that.
Right.
And it is diminishing returns. It's, smoking the entire pack of cigarettes in 20 minutes.
Mhm.
You don't want to touch it again. It ruins it for you.
Yeah. But you are right. Even with all that said, writing is not a real job, and nobody should be respectful of writers ever.
Yeah. That's my favorite thing to say, because there's so much like funny, like shitty relatable posts for writers now, where it's like the written word, no one knows what it's like when you come up with it.
Good
And
God.
I just think it's funny to be like, no, it's literally the easiest thing to do. You should never have a problem with it. I know it's harder than that. I know, but it is funny to upset people.
Yeah.
What can I say? I say?
Yeah, hey, it's funny to make people mad. That's like the whole point of like all discourse on the internet, pretty much, is like it's funny to watch people get pissed off.
Can I read you guys the funniest fucking pissed off reply I've gotten?
Please.
Oh, please.
Oh, please, yeah.
Yeah, I got this like last night, and I was fucking crying laughing because it's so good. Shut the fuck up. You post horrible shit posting garbage that makes me mad every day. I open my phone and I see your stupid profile picture, whether it's shitty weed or you making a soy face. Delete Twitter, act different.
I gotta say, I think they fucked you up, to be honest with you. I think they got you. I think they got your ass.
They kind of did, and I love that one. Because, like, yeah, I obviously get people who, like, yell at me all the time. And, like, most of the time it's just, like, yeah, they're, like, trying to make a joke, but they're too pissed off at you, or, like, making some, like, dumb moralizing point they don't actually believe in. But that's cool because, like, that's the emotion behind all of it. And he's like, no, I'm not going to dress as, like, just act different. It's so fucking, it's like, God bless you, man. I wish you could all be like that.
I mean, at the end of the day, maybe the video game I've been playing the most during quarantine is Twitter, and it is almost certainly, it is right now just a video game where everybody's like, no matter what happens, the point of the event is to come down like on the right, make the right dialogue option with your post.
Yeah.
To show which faction that you're most agreeable to.
It's a BioWare game. It's a BioWare game. Is what it
yeah.
is.
Yeah. Like, you see if the tankies are mad at this, you criticize that, or you get the liberals pissed off at you, and now there's a splinter of a splinter of a splinter of the left splintering out, and it really just has completely no connection to anything to do with the real world. More than ever since Donald Trump has been gone, it's even less real somehow.
Yeah.
I quit the MMO, and I'm a quitter, and when I quit, I quit. I want to mark it down here. Twitter ended when Donald Trump left. I didn't want to leave right then because all the conservatives were leaving. But why was everybody on this other than that the president was a shit poster and became the fucking president from shit posting? Like, he got banned. Everybody wanted to go to Parler, and I'm like, I think the website is a dead man walking at this point. But I'm glad to play other MMOs. I'll probably switch to WoW.
There has been a precipitous drop in the quality of the average post since he left. I mean, it's like, in a combat sport, when there's a great champion, the meta gets better. Because you have to develop the meta to defeat the champion. And yeah, ever since he's been gone, it's rough. It's rough. There's just been, it's a lot of like, impression farming tweets, as I call them, where it's like, do you know that guy Eric Alper? Like,
I don't know if I recognize the name. No,
he's you may not recognize the name, but if you saw the Avi or like the post, you would definitely know him.
Yeah,
because like all his tweets are like just the most like insane, like boring fucking quote tweet bait.
Right. What's something you own a ridiculous amount of is one today.
that's insane.
Would you eat 3 burgers for $1 million and universal health care?
Yeah, exactly. It's things like I've literally seen him post ones where it's like, what's a song you have an emotion towards? It's like, he fucking loves getting, and that's what everyone is like now.
This is like, it reads like an AI trying to learn about humans. You know what I mean? Or like an alien.
No, it's like when I was in middle school and they make me take those like social skills classes, and they were like, Emma, if you ask somebody a question about themselves, that can help them talk to you.
Yeah. It's been brutal there. And, I do have to say that I'm not impressed with the first, couple weeks of Biden's presidency. But one of the worst, elements so far is the posting is so much worse. The Biden administration's posts are, so much worse than Trump's. And if this is going to be, the leader of this website, I don't think there's a good future for it.
The liberals are really bad, too. I thought they would all calm down. I thought they would be happy, but they're not. They're mad. They're mad. And I mentioned this on Twitter, but Matt Christman had said basically like back, I think in like 2017, and he was like, the MAGA people are angry because they got everything they want except for respect. And that is exactly what's happening to the liberals now.
Oh, yeah.
No one will respect them, and the left people are just like, LOL, nice dogs, Bidens, where's my fucking check? And they get so mad.
Actually, the dogs are nice. The dogs are quite nice, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I like, it's, and the posts that they are making for Biden are so fucking, like, it'll be like a video of him and Kamala slow motion walking through a hallway.
With no music.
Yeah, and it'll just be like one week. It's like, they think it's like using the voice of Biden to be profound, but it's just like, oh, those are the only 2 words that Biden can hold in his head right now. That's what it seems like to me. Like, it's very grim stuff. This period has been reminding me the most of is like 2012 Twitter. Like when it was like every
cop starts breakdancing Twitter.
Yeah. When every guy was like, guys, follow Kelly Oxford. She's the funniest woman of all time. And I don't know anything about her. I don't know if she's good or bad, but I just thought that was funny. Just when all like everyone where it was like their bio was like, executive VP at fucking DreamWorks, and it's like, I hope my daughter grows up to be like Kelly Oxford. It's like, you are the horniest I've ever seen anyone.
You're right. 2012 Twitter was really about blue checkmarked Hollywood guys hornily building up young women. Hornily and wokely building up young women writers.
Yeah, and it was like, it was a grim era because it was like a few people were sort of picked out of the ruins to, become screenwriters.
And their lives actually, I know one of them actually, and she did that and then basically got like pushed out. It's like she was actually too young. Mm-hmm. She was actually too young to be put in writers' rooms, and they were like, wow, she's like young. She's really young. And they put her in writers' rooms, and they were like, she's not quite good enough. And it's like, well, maybe you should have let her like become a writer first. You know what I mean? Yeah, rather than just try to be like, we hired her. Like that. Isn't this cool for the show or something?
Yeah, and it was a grim era, and like, it affected the meta game because people saw who would win the lottery of TV writer, and they would adjust their posts to be like that. And so you got the shittiest fucking line break posts ever. And when a guy would go, what was 2012 viral, like 100 retweets, they would just move to LA, sight unseen, and they would dwell there, and they were like lost souls in the valley. It was a dark time. It was a dark time, and I think perhaps we're heading back there.
Well, I mean, it makes a lot of sense because back in that time, I was working at Funny or Die, and some of these like guys would come on little tours around Funny or Die, and Funny or Die was working with the Obama White House, and that's what got them on the map. By the way, this is the funniest thing to me is that the guy who they brought in at Funny or Die, Brad Jenkins, who was a White House guy and basically booked them Obama, he gave me a tour of the White House when I was, I mean, whatever, like I hadn't paid my taxes in 2 years, and I was like, they're not going to let me in the White House or whatever. But I got to like go walk through the White House with this guy, Brad Jenkins. He ended up starting a lobbying company for Funny or Die there, like Funny or Die DC. And I just saw him in the news last month. He's starting a production company with Mina Harris.
I cannot wait to see what fucking bullshit they make.
Phenomenal Productions. Keep an eye out for Phenomenal Productions.
They're gonna make the worst shit of all time. God damn.
When I saw that article, I was like, wow, they're really all back in charge. Like it's the Pod Save boys back in charge again.
It is. We're kind of resurfacing into this weird, like, liberal, like, world of the Obama era. Joss Whedon has a new show coming out. Like,
oh yeah, he fucking does. He did get fired from it though. He did technically. They took his name off it, but yeah, he does have a new one out.
Whedon's a funny one because I knew one of those very hot young checkmark Twitter people, and I ran into her one time, and she's like, "Oh, I like Joss Whedon DM'd me, and now I'm like house sitting his house," and I was like, "That's strange, to be honest with you."
Yeah, Joss Whedon, he was the king of that in like 2011 and 2012. Like a woman would tell a joke, like just like a regular joke you'd see on Twitter, and he'd be like, yeah, when I grow up, I want to be Samantha Smuckers.
Yes.
Just blow them the fuck up. And yeah.
This sunburned bald man, 45 years old. I'd like to be like her someday.
Yeah. He's a dark entity, Mr. Whedon. No, I think we are sort of headed back to that. A lot of people, they've gotten mad at me. I feel like Biden. I have my own $2,000 checks because people are like, "Oh, wasn't this like sort of like liberal hysteria going to go away after Biden won?" It's like I'm like, give it 2 weeks, give it a year, give it a fucking year, because I do think my longer form prediction is that the resurgence of a sort of like less didactic and triumphant liberal culture, it will be so shitty that it will engender a huge backlash. That is my opinion. That is my long-form prediction. I do think we're in for an era where it's like there are a billion shows created out of ephemera on sort of liberal or / comedy Twitter that are the worst things anyone has ever seen. And even like American audience who just passively are so pliant, they just passively accept all the crap that we're given. Even for them, it will be too awful. And there will be some splintering, and then there will be more movies with Mel Gibson, probably.
He's a good director. I don't know what to say. Sadly, he's a good director. I also think that they were coasting for such a long time on being reactive to Trump. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
People have been doing such like talentless fucking drivel for so many years, but been able to like pull out clapter and stuff like that by being like, and guess what? Like, I stand against the most powerful guy in the fucking country. How about that, everybody? And I don't know. I feel like maybe without Trump armor, we're going to notice that every TV show and movie sucks. But probably not.
It is like one of the worst eras for comedy that I've ever lived in. It is incredibly dire stuff out there. But I mean, we'll see where we go. I think we're headed in a quite weird directions. One of the reasons for this long form prediction I have is because of how weird the politics of much younger people are and are going to be. I mean, you guys saw that poll where it's like a shockingly high amount of 18 to 29-year-olds have a positive opinion of QAnon.
Yep, and also a lot of like college graduates. Like that was the funny thing. And by the way, the Democrats, the DCCC has announced that what they're planning on running on in 2022 is being not Q. Like they officially announced that they're like, what we're running on is like that the Republicans are the party of Q, and you can't be the party of college educated people and also the party of Q. And I'm like, well, the polls actually don't show that. You know what I mean? The polls don't show that. A lot of people actually like Q. And yeah, so I think the plan is to run on nothing other than we're not Q. You saw today, Nancy Pelosi released a press statement about fucking Kevin McCarthy and called him QCA instead of RCA or whatever. Very cute.
The college education thing is such bullshit, though, because remember, like, there were some pharmacists who like intentionally like sabotage a bunch of COVID vaccines.
Yeah.
I googled it, and you have to be in school a very long time to be a pharmacist. Like,
well, in fact, actually, honestly, I think that like people who are more educated I don't think uneducated people are likely to be like diving deep into conspiracy theories. You know what I mean? I think it is more educated people that are like, what's going on here? And like, why does the world seem like the way it isn't, that way that doesn't work, and like wanting to make sense of things. I feel like uneducated people are just like, I mean, I don't know, but I think they're just like, whatever. I think they ranked highest for like no opinion, don't care about Q.
Yeah.
Uneducated people and more downwardly mobile people. Well, the difference is usually the conspiracies they believe in are essentially true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, like, you know, QAnon itself probably lasted so long, and I mean, it's still going on because it's a really fun video game too.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's way more fun than Twitter. Like, if you could, you know, go back, would you rather get on Twitter or get on Q 4 years ago? Like, seriously, knowing what you know now, like just to be on the ground
I could
floor.
have parodied This Is Just a Joke. You went to the Capitol. That could have been maybe fun as a joke, not for real.
So I don't know how you're going to take people's favorite video game away from them unless you're going to put out something better.
Q is a video game like Twitter, and it's only except Twitter has had less like impact in the real world. Like Q has actually like affected things. People on Twitter just like to like yell about real things and then do nothing about it. It's more fun to yell about fake shit and get out there
and do something.
I think, like, you know, I think we have a less competent NWO than we've had in a while. I was thinking about, in the golden age, if we were given a prime Dulles Brothers or Ingleton, they would, like, look at Q and be like, oh, this is because, like, every movie and show sucks. we have to make them good again so people don't go insane. But because it's, like, our current NWO, where it's all like Pete Buttigieg's, they're like, well, like we should make more Lily Singh shows. That'll get rid of Q. We should make 1 million more books where it's like some journalist like read posts for like 3 months and was like, I'm an extremism expert.
Oh my god.
Those are the shittiest fucking. That's one of the worst developments of Trump. Just like the people who are like, yeah, here's my book that I got $400,000 for. It's called 4chan, the place where the scary posts are. I went to the bad website for this book.
Yeah, you won't believe the dangerous places I went to. I went to a website like the place.
I want to write a book like that, but it's like I went to GoDaddy. I watched like the uncensored ads on GoDaddy.
So, Jack, we're talking about conspiracy theories, and there's a video game that you're playing that's essentially about a conspiracy theory that is true. The Hitman 3, the final chapter in the new Hitman series, which, for people who don't know, is basically changes the Hitman story to where, like, the ultimate bad guys are the rich assholes who rule the world and are deliberately like allowing climate change to happen because they have like bunkers built.
Yeah.
And it's like your
Illuminati.
job to take them all. Yeah. It's your job to take them all down. So how's part 3?
I'm not actually into 3 yet. I have to be honest, Leslie, because I didn't beat 1 and 2 when they came out. So what the Hitman games do, because they originally released as episodic, they released all the levels from Hitman 1 and Hitman 2 in Hitman 3. So it's like I've been playing through the campaign of Hitman 1 and 2 with Hitman 3 graphics. So it's like I've been playing 1 and 2. I'm almost finished with 2. But I got to be honest with you, the Hitman series fucking kicks ass. I mean, it's like actually some of the best. Like I think I love stealth gameplay. I like not killing people. It's more fun to sneak around and stuff like that. And you know, I think maybe since Metal Gear, this is kind of like since Phantom Pain, and it actually reminds me a little bit of Phantom Pain in the sense that, like, you know, it is kind of an open world game. It's weird. It's like every level is a little sandbox. There's multiple ways to do every hit. And so, yeah, it's kind of these little sandbox open world levels where you basically get to like figure out ways to kill super rich people. It's kind of goofy. It's not like doesn't take itself too seriously. But it's also just got like a very cool story. And, you know, all these areas are really well designed and feel really like sort of dense and complex. I was playing the one of Mumbai today, and I was like, this is kind of kicks ass to be going through like the slums of Mumbai in a video game. I don't know. I do have to recommend the Hitman games, and I think this Hitman 3 is very cool. With Hitman 3 feels very much like this is like the Metal Gear HD collection or something, because it's like the whole trilogy is in this Hitman 3 if you get the DLC.
That sounds. I mean, I have been really wanting a new Splinter Cell game, so maybe I'll pick that up too.
Yeah, it's a little less like army stealth. It's more like James Bond stealth. You know what I mean? It's like mixing into crowds, wearing outfits and shit. It's great. I like it a lot.
Oh yeah, if you're looking for Splinter Cell, it's a pretty decent substitute. I played through the first two, absolutely loved them, and I also love that they do these like little special missions that you only have a week to do, and you only have one shot to do them. There was a mission where you had to kill Sean Bean, like the actor, and like you can only do it one time. If you fuck up, that's it. You get locked out of it. But I was able to successfully get his ass in that one.
Wow. Yeah, no, Hitman kicks ass also because, it's a single player game, but it's one that you're meant to play like a bunch of times. And there's like a ton of different ways to do it. And, I've like played, Sapienza, the level in the first game is just like an all timer, well designed level. And I just will, even as I'm into the second one, I find myself wanting to go back to Sapienza and do those kills again.
Wow. All right. I will reinstall Epic Game Store to get this.
Unfortunately, it's only on Epic.
But Felix, you mentioned Splinter Cell. I've never talked to you about it before, but I loved those games.
Me too.
Back in the day, they were. I think I played through every single one, and even the newer ones people kind of weren't so into. I still get a lot of enjoyment out of, just because, especially the last one where you could do co-op missions. Me and my partner. I don't know if we would be married today if we didn't do those co-op missions together, because there's some where it's like if you even get spotted one time, you have to start over. And we were able to get through it. And my partner was a very new gamer at the time, so that was quite the bonding experience.
The new ones, like I played, what's it called? The Conviction, the one after that, and I like them. I like them a lot, but I just like I replayed Chaos Theory a few months ago, and it's like the problem with the newer ones. Like, I like the atmosphere. I think a lot of the old Splinter Cell, most of it's still there. But I just sort of, I don't know. There's a certain thing I can't quite put my finger on that makes Chaos Theory and Pandora Tomorrow better to me. It might just be, the thing I don't like about the newer ones, the most two recent ones, is like that thing you can do. It is cool. It is cool when you can do this. But where you mark like 4 guys in a room and kill all of them, like, that's cool to do, but I wish you kind of always are able to do it. It's pretty easy to refill, and it like makes some things too easy. Like, I don't know, do you remember with Chaos Theory, do you remember the DPRK level?
No, I haven't played in a minute, but you're in North Korea.
Yeah, someone basically false flags the Korean War restarting. And you have to like.
I love Tom Clancy plots, by the way.
It's fucking awesome. And that game is it's such a good time capsule of like a type of like liberalism in 2004, where it's like global empire is like whatever, but like private military contractors are what's bad. Where it's like they're right about one thing being bad, but it's like, wait, can you like look at the entire thing here?
God, that was a minute where North Korea was the bad guy in all of our video games.
What was the one where they take over Homefront or something?
Homefront. There's several, and Crisis as well. The villains besides the aliens were like a super technologically advanced North Korea. I just wonder, like, who is going to be the video game bad guy of Biden culture, though?
Oof.
I would just
Myanmar.
It's not going to be China, because like
It can't be.
They have to sell those Marvel movies in China, so it's like that's not going to happen. But I mean, Russia's the easy choice here. But I think like Russia's like the simple choice. That's what you do if you're like a sort of entry to moderate skilled Hollywood hack. But if you're like you're really geared up, you're playing on New Game Plus. You're like Don Simpson reincarnated. What you do is like you fight against like a fake news network with like extremism. It's gonna be so much fucking bullshit like that. It sucks.
Yeah, I can see this sort of Venezuela villain staying. I also just because like it's a 4-quadrant fear, the fear of Central America and South America. I could see that one continuing. Also, just because Russia feels so Trump era, it feels like the general feeling is that Russia's defeated now that their agent president has been defeated. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is going to be like it'll be like you fight like a Q analog, or something.
That makes sense.
Something like that,
or like honestly, just MAGA guys, like like the Capitol rioters, vaguely like hillbillies with red hats.
Well, that's like I got really fucking like douched out when people kept saying insurrectionist.
Yeah, because
it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess they are, but it's like, man, you really like hearing yourself say that.
Yeah.
Like, God, that's so fucking lame.
I was really at the first couple days of that, I was like, this thing, I don't know. It doesn't. I really thought it didn't feel as serious as everybody was making it out to be. It obviously was scary footage and everything. And then everybody was like, "But they fucking caved in the head of a police officer with a fire extinguisher." And then it turns out today they're like, the guy didn't suffer any blunt force trauma. So I'm like, so what happened there? Like the people that died there are like the lady who was jumping through the window and got shot in the neck by Secret Service. A couple cops committed suicide, and another cop died of like not blunt force trauma. I'm like, I don't know. It seems like when I watched the live stream of it, it looked like a bunch of stupid ass fucking, MAGA guys like walking around the inside of the Capitol. Like I watched it happen live, and like while it was definitely crazy footage, and you see the picture of the guy with like the zip ties and everything like that. I don't know. I think a lot has been made of it. And, you're right. Like, people are very, very quick to be like, these are terrorists. And I'm like, okay, let's take a second here and think about what that term means when you say a terrorist.
Yeah. And I don't want to rehash that. Like, I've said my opinion on it, but I just the constant saying of insurrectionists. Like, at first I thought it was like, oh, like they all think they're radical Republicans during Reconstruction. Like there's a lot of that on like sort of the left lib media sphere where they all think they're like those guys, and it's like, yeah, you'll probably succeed as much as them. But
there are people that think that like they're going to be re-educated or something, and I'm like, have fun out there, everybody. Have a good time.
Yeah. But like, it just like now I sort of recognize it as like, oh, we need there to be like a scary enemy during Biden that's like incredibly defeatable.
Yeah.
Like it's the same thing I saw when like these liberals got their dicks hard when the Eamon Bundy thing happened, because it's like, oh, they don't really give a shit, but it's like it's a group of fucking losers who like could be wiped out in one afternoon by like any small town police force's tank.
Right.
Like, and it's like, oh, they just want the feeling of like it's the equivalent of like invading Iraq, because Afghanistan, we couldn't possibly win there. It's like, oh, you just want like someone who you can build up and then like feel good about when you easily run them over. Like, yeah, no, I think the people at the Capitol are bad, and they wanted to like institute some like authoritarian thing. I don't know how they thought they were going to do that. I think they thought if they like touched the flag, they would get some fucking charm. Like they were clearly morons. But
if they hold point A, B, and C for 5 minutes consecutive, the meters will fill up. And then,
good news, guys. I got the mortal blade from Steny Hoyer's desk. But it's like, like I think they're bad, but like it's also like they just sort of like all killed themselves or like died from medical conditions while doing it. I'm not like I'm sorry. I'm just like not that afraid of them, and because it's like, everything else that you can see as an enemy is like, it's too scary. It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Biden's gonna fight like Steve Schwartzman for the fucking private equity industry in America. No, he's not. Biden's gonna take down fossil fuels. No, he's not. You can't possibly believe that, so it has to be like, oh no, it's the dumbest people alive who are actually very scary.
Guess what? We are going to take care of Trumpism by arresting approximately 60 realtors and like guys that own like motorcycle shops.
Yeah, and I hate this because like anytime you talk about it, people are like, "Do you realize that they thought they were going to overthrow an election?" And it's like, yeah. Do you think they were like going to be able to do that? Like, how can you walk me through that? It was like if you let a bunch of fucking wild boars loose in the Capitol. Like, it didn't look like they knew what the fuck they were doing.
Well, speaking of animals, Emma and Felix, I know you have a little bit of primate talking to do, so I'm just gonna let you have the floor before we close it out. Best primate.
This is a tough one.
I'm going to go with orangutan. Couple of different reasons. Number one, just in terms of great apes, they're the most genetically diverse from us. And they're also objectively, and different primologists I'm sure will like throw down about this, they're basically the smartest animal that's not us.
Wow.
But it's interesting too. They do studies at my zoo. We actually have them. This is actually relevant to the discussion. We actually have them play video games. We actually have our orangutans play video games. And we're doing it to figure out memory, essentially. So the games are pretty simple. And what we've learned is they actually don't use their hippocampus for memory. They're using something else. I don't know the details. I'm sure someone on the research team does. I'm just kind of relaying what I like to tell guests.
Wow.
So really interesting. And also just interesting because they're the only great ape that's solitary. So in the wild, they live by themselves. Theories are just simply on an island. You just can't really have a big powwow of your orangutan buddies. In zoo settings, they are pretty gregarious, though, and they hang out in groups. Absolutely fascinating. One of the keepers told me once their climbing structures, we actually have to weld shut because their fingers are strong enough that they can dismantle the bolts. They can just take the bolts and just
oh my God.
Open them up. So, I mean, probably in terms of favorite primate, I don't say orangutans, but in terms of best primate, orangutans.
Orangutan, in captivity, they'll often befriend largibbons because they're both like kind of chill. Like largibbons are sort of like dramatic sometimes with their hand thing, and like when they see like a mouse or something, they'll freak out a little bit, but they're not like super aggressive, especially not in captivity. I don't know. This was a tough one for me. I guess I would kind of say like I'm tied between gibbons in general and gorillas. Like I really love gorillas. I find them very personable. I love like how sweet gorilla fathers are to their kids. Like gorilla babies can be like, they're very hyperactive and like they're always like bothering the dad, but the dads seem to be very sweet and patient with them, very protective of them. But I do like, if I had to narrow it down in gibbons I like, it's tough because I love Siamangs. Siamangs are the ones with the throat bubble.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, I mean, they're basically talking to each other. It's very sweet. But I don't know. I just, the attitude and largibbons seem to love having fun. And that is, I love them so much. They look cool. They do funny stuff. And I don't know how smart they are. They're definitely not as smart as chimps or orangutans, but they represent a side of us as people, I feel like.
We don't have gibbons at my zoo, so now I'm curious. I'm going to look them up a little bit more about them. Little fun fact about gorilla fathers, though. So they actually have done studies, and at least in the wild, gorilla fathers that are more intimate with their babies, they cuddle them, they play with them, they groom them, the ones that do that actually get more females. The females actually are really, really into that. So I always get mad. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things like, right, there's someone and they're like, man wears dress and sings Disney songs of child masculinity's dying. And I just look at these like male gorillas who are just just getting so much.
They're playing.
Yeah.
They're playing with the tea set. They're putting on the tutu.
Yeah. And also they only eat leaves.
They do.
I mean, they eat other stuff, but they're vegan. Yeah.
They are completely vegan. And in terms of size, they are the strongest vertebrate. So just, eat your vegetables.
Have you ever seen that video of, he's like a nature photographer and he's observing a troop of gorillas and the two babies come by and like they're just fascinated with his camera and how it works, and the dad is just like watching them and it's just kind of like, yeah, I know they can be annoying.
No, it's amazing. Like, I love the gorillas at our zoo. Each one has a completely different personality. We have a couple little ones and all their dynamics are like just completely different. And it's wild because like I'll be at that deck for an hour and a family will come by and like look at 5 minutes and be like, make them come over, and I say no and they leave. But you stand there for like an hour and you just see their lives. Like you were talking about like good video games and stuff, you know, like watching the gorillas. That is the ultimate video game.
What games are the orangutans playing?
It's a memory game. So it was actually designed by our research team. So basically what it is it's a little screen, and the screen shows a picture of a sailboat. Then the sailboat goes away. Then it shows a picture of a rubber duck and a sailboat. If the orangutan hits the sailboat, they get a treat. Oh. But obviously we can't, I mean, they're smart animals and they have some comprehension of what you ask them, but they don't, you can't explain to them that game. They have to figure it out through trial and error. That was just the prototype. Now what they'll do is they'll show one image and then show like 10 images.
Wow.
But like I said,
you're training these orangutans to be like pretty good gamers at this point. You know, they're gaming at a high level. One
of my favorite moments was Alex Patak was down here back in 2019 from Poddamn America, and I took him to the zoo, and there's some poor intern out like talking about this, and she's like, does anyone have any questions? And Patak just raises his hand and goes, do the video games make the apes more violent?
I was just going to ask on apes and video games, what do you think about Elon Musk said this week that his Neuralink company put like wires into an ape's head and that they could play video games with their brain? And I truly was like, I think the most weird thing about this is he's saying an ape can play Pong with their brain. I'm like, I don't actually think monkeys can like play Pong and understand how Pong would work or whatever.
If he's using a rhesus macaque, then maybe they use them in a lot of lab stuff. But if he's using a literal ape, that is illegal. Elon Musk,
I don't know.
You are going to jail, sir. I don't know. I mean, I have whole things and issues with like ethics and how we treat primates essentially, because for a really long time in like the, like 50s and shit, we just did crazy shit. We just like stole baby chimps and just tried to raise them as humans. Then like obviously it can't be a human, and they would just drop it off at like,
all right, well, toss it in the trash then.
Yeah, basically. And this I don't know, and there's a level I think of autonomy and respect that we're just now very recently, I think in the 21st century, like trying to give apes. And they're not, like people come in the zoo like, oh, look at the monkey, ooh, you want a banana? And it's like, it's just very infantilizing for this really complex animal that I think on par with us in terms of like, if not intelligence, like at least emotional capacity. So I don't know. I don't even know if he's doing it. He looks like someone who'd be like, LOL, monkey epic, whatever. So I don't know if he's doing this poor ape.
It might
somewhere.
be an epic purple monkey of some kind. I don't know.
The stuff people do with that, like people will like post videos to me a lot of like, will they put like a capuchin or something in an outfit and like they're serving drinks? That always upsets me. It's like, no, that's a deeply complex animal, and it's like you're just like terrifying it into being a servant. They're upset.
No, it is. And I mean, like, obviously I'm not going to go on Twitter and be like a fucking woke scold for everyone who posts it, but like, like people, like actually, like, I mean, and I'm not talking like PETA shit. I mean, like people who work in conservation are like, don't share this weird shit because all it does is normalize that you can like put your lemur in a diaper and take it to the Denny's,
Yeah. There's that guy who I think he has a capuchin who always like gives him packages and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I mean, the videos are cute, but like, it's like, he doesn't want to be wearing a diaper and like living in a fucking suburban living room. Like that's not good for him. Like, I don't know. It's upsetting. And like, I am glad that gorillas are too intimidating for people to try that. But like, yeah, no, I like they're all like, yeah, like you said it, they're incredibly complex and they have like deep emotional and social worlds, and like just to make them do people shit is awful.
Yeah, we shouldn't have to do all this fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, folks, that was Struggle Session. Felix, thank you so much for joining us.
My absolute pleasure.
Yeah, where can people find you?
Well, I can sort of tease this a little bit now. There's a project with me and Matt coming out quite soon.
Oh,
Keep your eyes open for that, everyone.
Wow, exciting.
All right, cool. All right. Well, folks, thank you so much. Have a good one.
Bye.